They can hack your phone, computer, and even a kettle. They will easily get access to your camera and find out how you cry at night in front of your computer. They steal millions of dollars without even touching them. Sometimes they can even influence the elections of small, distant countries. Like, what was it? Oh, this one. We're talking about hackers. And although in movies they are shown as crazy nerds with purple hair drumming on keyboards without pressing a spacebar or using a mouse, in fact, they are more than real and more than dangerous. These are the top 7 coolest hackers in history. Let's go! Oh wait, let's take a little pause. Write in the comments who will be number 1 in your opinion. And don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, and change the password already. Number 7. Robert Tappan Morris. And this cute smiling guy named Robert Tappan Morris opens our top. Why do you think he's here? Did he hack the Pentagon? Stole $1 billion?
What?
Leaked the brainframe narrator's naked photos online? No, much cooler. He is the first hacker ever. The year is 1988. Morris Worm appears, the first example of malicious software in the history of computer technology development that used automatic distribution mechanisms. To do this, several vulnerabilities of network services were used, as well as some weaknesses in computer systems due to insufficient attention to security issues at that time. Morris Worm for 5 days almost paralyzed the work of computers on the ARPANET network, a prototype of the internet created on the initiative of DARPA. Assessment of downtime, at least 8 million hours, and over 1 million hours of time spent on restoring systems. Total losses were estimated at $98 million. Morris was caught, arrested, and sentenced to 3 years probation, 400 hours of community service, and a fine of $10,000. He was the first to ever be convicted of violating the U.S. Computer Fraud Act. However, since being released in 1994, Morris started to use his experience to the benefit of others, becoming a co-founder of the ViaWeb online store, bought by Yahoo for $45 million in 1998. He later enrolled in the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and became a technical advisor to Meraki Networks before Cisco acquired the company in 2012. Well, he was the first, but he did not start a revolution. Therefore, only the 7th place. Number 6. Vladimir Levin. When Vladimir Levin had led Russia to communism through revolution… that was Lenin, my mistake. Well, he was a kind of hacker, hacked a whole political system. Anyway, the story of Vladimir Levin is shrouded in mystery, although it happened over 2 decades ago, in 1994. In one of the first major financial cybercrimes, a resident of St. Petersburg hacked the accounts of several large corporate clients in Citibank using the remote bank transfer service. The newest service of its kind had a number of shortcomings, some of which remain unknown even 25 years later. Levin was able to take advantage of these shortcomings to obtain data for several customer accounts, and since the bank did not use multi-factor authentication for electronic transfers, he could then simply call the system and send money anywhere. Anywhere means to accounts in Finland, the Netherlands, Germany, and Israel. What a versatile person. To get cash from the accounts, Levin used accomplices in Tel Aviv, Rotterdam, and San Francisco. And here he stumbled. Citibank discovered fictitious transfers and tracked where the cash was flowing. Levin's accomplices were arrested when they tried to withdraw money. Due to the fact that Russia refused to extradite him, Levin initially escaped punishment. He then made a mistake by staying in London during an intercontinental flight. Pursuant to existing agreements, Scotland Yard officers arrested the runaway fugitive and extradited him to the United States. At the trial, Levin pleaded guilty, was sentenced to 3 years in prison, and was supposed to pay about $240,000 in compensation. Citibank returned most of the money except $400,000. Consider it a donation for revolution, comrades. An interesting twist in this story occurred almost 10 years later, when an anonymous user on a Russian website stated that he was the real hacker and Levin simply bought credentials from him and made transfers. Was Levin really one of the most dangerous hackers of all time? Or just a lucky thief with experienced friends? He never admitted. The thief's honor is more expensive, apparently. Well, since the truth of Levin's personality remains in question, it's only the 6th place. Number 5. Gary Mckinnon. In 5th place, we have a man who was engaged in hacking with the least vile motives. He did not steal money or manipulate opinions. Gary Mckinnon was not interested in that. So what does a Scottish programmer do in this top? His motivation does not look like something threatening. After all, most exploits were undertaken in a futile attempt to obtain evidence of UFO activity and alien technologies, which he believed were hidden by the American government. Now that is a craving for knowledge. What would you want to know so much to become a hacker? Write in the comments. We will not give you up to the government. It would seem okay, just another guy in a foil cap. What harm can he do? As it turned out, huge. In search of flying saucers, Mckinnon was able to penetrate the security systems of 97 U.S. military computers and NASA computers for 13 months. Overwhelmed by the thirst for truth, Gary deleted critical files and Washington's Army network was disconnected for 24 hours. Following the 9/11 attacks, the frantic Scot burst in and deleted weapons records at the Earl Naval Weapons Station, which confused the Atlantic Navy, even when it mobilized the defense. Despite this, Mckinnon turned out to be relatively easy to track down. The British authorities interviewed him and confiscated his computers on behalf of their American counterparts in March 2002. But the disagreement over jurisdiction and punishment led the Prime Minister to reject a request to extradite Mckinnon to indict the United States. And so Gary is still at large. And the truth is somewhere nearby. However, he is only 5th because he is still much more harmless than those coming up next. Number 4. PLA Unit 61389. They are almost impossible to detect. Since 2002, they've been successfully stealing information of national importance. They are some of the most dangerous hackers on the planet, and they are led by China. PLA 61389 may seem like the name for a tricky microwave, but it's actually the designation of a hacker military group that is believed to be controlled by the People's Liberation Army of China. PLA 61389 was a group that was first designated as APT-1. Long before that, cybersecurity researchers were unable to find anything out about them, except that the group is based somewhere in China. But a series of 2006 attacks on American computer manufacturers, defense contractors, and military targets made the group's geostrategic nature clear. It is suspected that this unit is behind Operation Shady Rat, a 5-year espionage campaign that has leaked data from U.S. defense contractors, the UN, and government agencies in Taiwan and Vietnam. The tendency to use remote access tools, RAT, gave the name of the operation and served as a key identifier for the group behind it. It is suspected that these people hacked our president's Twitter account. How else to explain the nonsense he writes? However, Chinese hackers get only the 4th place. After all, next, we have a real hacking superstar. Number 3. Kevin Mitnick. If there is a name that is most associated with the word hacker, it is certainly Kevin Mitnick, the man who, according to the FBI, could start a nuclear war. It seemed that the Van Nuys resident was born for this role. 13-year-old Kevin hacked into a bus system in Los Angeles to ride for free using social engineering. By the age of 16, the guy got into the patented DEC computers and the Pacific Bell system, even before the internet even began to develop. Kevin was caught and sentenced to a year in prison. This was one of the first major judicial penalties for hacking computers. Did Mitnick pay a debt to society in prison? Yes. Did he stop? Of course not. Soon after his release, he got back to it and arrest warrants flowed. Kevin hit and ran. Hacking into cell phone networks and major computer manufacturers, he managed to escape justice until FBI agents tracked him down in North Carolina in 1995, after which he spent 5 years in prison. Fun fact, Kevin spent 8 months in isolation. Prosecutors convinced the judge that he could potentially start a nuclear war by whistling certain codes to the phone. Kevin, of course, did not have such superpowers, but the prosecutors were scared that Mitnick never gave up. His technical skills were satisfactory at best, but his knowledge of social engineering was second to none. Mitnick claimed that all of his crimes were the result of using weak passwords or obtaining codes by fraud. Unlike most of the names on this list, Mitnick's story has a happy ending. Many in today's cybersecurity community believe that the measure of restraint was too harsh. They simply made an example from Kevin. His career after prison has already evolved in favor of cybersecurity. Kevin opened Mitnick Security Consulting, LLC, and advises the FBI and large Fortune 500 companies to strengthen their protection. Or steal someone's password again and catch a free bus ride into the sunset. Who knows? But Kevin gets only the bronze of our chart because he advises the FBI, unlike our next hacker. Number 2. Kevin Poulsen. Kevin Poulsen, also known as Dark Dante, became famous not for his strange love for Alighieri's work, but for breaking the telephone lines of the Kiss FM radio station in Los Angeles. And he hacked into the FBI, business as usual. Poulsen specialized mainly in telephone fraud. Kevin's most famous attack was aimed at Kiss FM. Kevin was able to capture all the telephone lines of the radio station, and this hack allowed the young talent to become the 102nd caller and win the Porsche 944 S2 and many other prizes. Oh, the things you do to get the girls' attention. Authorities began to harass Poulsen after hacking into the U.S. federal wanted list. At this time, Kevin managed to draw the wrath of the FBI by breaking into a telephone tapping system. After this, law enforcement called him Hannibal Lecter of computer crimes. In this regard, he also updated the base of escort numbers from the Yellow Pages for a friend who organized a virtual escort agency. Later, when his photo was shown on a TV show, the 1-800 telephone lines that were used to call viewers simply turned out to be inaccessible due to the number of people who wanted to speak. Ultimately, Poulsen was captured in a supermarket and served 5 years in jail. You can't call it a goodbye, can you? After prison, Poulsen worked as a journalist until he became a contributing editor of Wired News. His most famous article is about exposing 744 sex offender profiles on MySpace. Last year, Poulsen revealed that it was him who was behind the fake video featuring Nancy Pelosi. And by the way, we have a non-fake video about fake videos. A real video about fake videos. I'm confused. Just click the link and watch. This is not a fake, probably. Meanwhile, Kevin gets the silver of the top hackers. After all, the first place deserves a mastermind who forever changed the world. Number 1. Stephen Wozniak. Yes, it's him, one of the creators of Apple and the first PCs. We decided to give the first place to a man who can safely be classified as a white hat. Hackers who use their skills for the good. Wozniak began his career creating fake electronic devices, blue boxes, that make it possible not to pay for long-distance telephone calls. After reading an article about telephone fraud in Esquire magazine, Wozniak called his friend Jobs. Together, they explored radio frequencies and designed their blue boxes for long-distance calls. The couple sold these devices to their classmates in college. Wozniak even somehow used this invention to call the Pope, pretending to be Henry Kissinger. Wozniak dropped out of college and came up with a computer that ultimately made him famous. It was a great idea to sell a computer fully assembled and ready to go. Wozniak sold an engineering calculator dear to his heart, and Jobs used a Volkswagen van to get money to start assembling prototypes in Jobs' garage. Wozniak designed the hardware and created most of the software. Together, two Steves sold the first batch of Apple I in the amount of 100 units to a local dealer for $666.66 per copy. Devil's in the details, right? Now Wozniak is known for being another Steve from Apple, but he was awarded the U.S. National Medal in Technology and also received honorary doctorates from Kettering University and Nova Southeastern University. In addition, Wozniak was included in the honorary list of inventors in the National Hall of Fame in September 2000. Wozniak no longer works for Apple around the clock, focusing on charity. Among other things, Steve helps schools by providing students and teachers with modern technical equipment. But his hacking achievements in the past and his incredible status in the present leave us no choice. Steve Wozniak is recognized as the coolest hacker in history, according to Brainframe. Do you agree with our picks? Maybe we missed someone. Write in the comments. It seems that hackers are hiding in wait everywhere. Bought a premium account on a porn site, all money gone from the card. Used your dog's name as a password, and it's gone again. And you just shake your fist in the air, cursing damn hackers. But as you can see, no one is protected from attacks. Even the strong walls of our country could not be protected from important and dangerous information being leaked. Considering the tendency to universal connection of the population to a certain common system, soon the hackers will not crack our phones but our brains. Are you ready to connect, or is it worth staying with what you have? Which pill will you take? Right, you know where. Over there, under the video. Yes, over there. A little lower. Yep. In the meantime, keep the equipment cyber clean and do not be lazy to protect your data. Hackers will never be too lazy to steal it. Be safe. Brainframe out.